Okay, we'll call the meeting of the Natrona County Parks Board Advisory Committee to order on today's Thursday, November 14th, 2024. Could I get a roll call, please?
Rob Hill present.
Jim Miller, present.
Doug Irvin, present.
Cordell Wistison, present.
Michael Brown, present.
Okay, next up is the Pledge of Allegiance. Could we all stand and join me? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up on the agenda is the approval of the October 10th minutes. Do I have a motion pertaining to that?
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
Okay, that is approved. Then we're on to reports from the park director. Michael, take it away.
All right, thank you. On the mountain, the Casper Mountain Trail Center, which I'm sure everybody's interested in, progress is ongoing. As of yesterday, the plan is to start and install flooring in the kitchen next week and starting to paint next week. The fireplace was probably 85% complete yesterday, so it should be finishing up. What else? We're hoping to have the webcams installed and operational in the next 2 weeks, as well as the weather station. So we'll be getting some data, getting it back on the website so everybody can see snow conditions and whether it snowed or not.
Where's that going to be situated? Same place it has been, or is it changing?
So the webcams, there's one webcam on the back of the building that'll show the trails. And then there's another webcam on the main vestibule entrance that'll show the parking lot. We do have the parking lot lights operational. I believe they're going to be on most of the time just because the contractor's up there before the sun comes up. So we should have a good view of what kind of fresh snow we're getting. With that, and a reminder, there is no public parking at the lodge site until it's turned over to the county in February. I've discussed this with the contractor. There's just too many liability issues on their part to have the public in there. I will revisit this when we get closer to some of the major events and see if we can possibly adjust that at that time, but right now there's no promises of getting in there till early February in that parking lot. So on that same note, I'd like to just advise the public that it is an active construction site. I know everybody's interested and wants to walk up and look in the windows, but there is a hazard behind with the snow coming off the roof on the backside, and you don't know what kind of materials may be stored outside under the snow. So I just advise everybody to look at it from a distance until the county's operational there. Nordic ski passes went on sale in October. So far, we've exceeded 170 total sales or total permits sold. That includes day passes. And just a reminder, enforcement of trail passes will begin tomorrow. Park staff will, at random points in time, be checking passes. So just get your pass. So we will have a QR code. So if you don't have your pass, you can purchase a season pass at that time when you're visited by staff, or a day pass at that time. But yeah, season's here, so time to get passes.
Who needs to purchase passes, Michael, on that? I know that people say it's a ski trail, so that's all we have to pay for. We don't ski, so we can.
No, it's any users, snowshoers, fat bikers, Nordic skiers, whether you're classic skiing or skate skiing. anybody using the groomed trails needs to purchase a pass. So,
And again, this year, there's no walking on these trails.
correct. Pedestrian traffic is not supposed to be on the groomed trails. It potholes the snow, makes it difficult to keep it in good condition for skiing. We also would like the snowshoers to stay on the opposite side on the edge of the trail, opposite of the classic tracks, as well as the fat bikers. I know everybody wants to go down the middle side by side, but we have multiple users, snowshoers, fat bikers, and skiers, and to provide the best conditions for everybody, stay on the side of your snowshoer, stay on the side of your fat biker. Skiers need to obviously ski in control. We don't need conflict between the user groups. It is a multi-use trail. The single track trails are also available for everybody to use. I don't think very many skiers use the single track, but if they want to ski classic backcountry ski on the single track, that's still opportunity for them too. So, yeah, we're all one big family. So let's just kind of, partner together and try and keep it where everybody else can use it after you're done.
Once the trails are groomed, am I correct in saying that there is no dog activity up there at this time?
Correct. We don't have, dogs are not allowed under our current rules on the groomed trails. And I don't know if that'll change with the new revisions of the rules that we're working on now. And currently, the way our rules state, there's no dogs on the single track trails either at this time. Those revisions, actually, the revisions in the proposed rules are to provide discretion to the Parks Director to decide if there's an appropriate trail that we can have dogs on, if the single track can have dogs on. So it gives us some discretion to decide that and kind of work that opportunity in for people. The biathlon area, operating and grooming agreements are still pending with county legal and the county commissioners at this time. I don't really have any further updates with that. I know they are working on that to get those finalized and so that we can provide that. There are a few safety concerns in the area that probably will need to be addressed before it's really operational over there.
So at this time, there is not any groomed trails over there. Am I correct?
Yeah, I drove over there yesterday. They did not appear groomed. It's my understanding that they did do some initial grooming during the first snowstorm, about mid-storm, so it didn't, when I looked at it a week ago, it didn't look like it had been groomed, but I guess they had groomed underneath. But I don't know to the extent, if that was just the loop around the stadium and the firing line, or if that was some of the other trails. So I'm not aware of what was groomed or not groomed over there. Hell's Half Acre, as you guys are aware, we received some grant money for that. I have a finalized design for the boardwalk and viewing platform. I've met with the building department yesterday to kind of make sure that the designs meet code. There's some changes I need to make, and really to get an appropriate permit on that, because it is a public structure. I really need to get it reviewed by an engineer. I need to contact Pathways and show them the design so they can get that into their curriculum for the spring. And I hope to have a call out to them tomorrow. So I'll do that in conjunction while I'm trying to find a licensed engineer that might donate their time to review the design. Basically, the way it's kind of planned is the footers and the supports will be installed by the county using a jig out there so we can have everything squared and ready. And then the high school will build 8 by 10 platforms, a deck basically with the joists, the beams, the joists, and the decking on them. A few of the decking will be not installed so that we can basically mount everything together when we get it out there on the ground. And we're looking at like almost 30 8x10 decks to take out there and install for a 200 plus foot boardwalk, and then a 20 by 24 viewing platform. The final step is I need to verify elevations to see how much of an ADA ramp we have to have to get onto the boardwalk, as well as what the final elevation of the platform will be.
When will the county do their work on it?
Probably throughout the winter, as we can fit that into our schedule with grooming. Otherwise, it's more like April and May. And with the pathways doing this, the deck build basically through the spring semester, we won't have that decking until the end of the year. And I don't know if we'll have all of it, or I don't know if we're asking too much of them or what, but I'll be finding that out next week. And I guess the last update we have on the mountain is the trails. Mostly the single track. We've been grooming with the cat, Struby, and the maze. Worked out pretty well over the weekend. The wind and the temperatures have eaten up a lot of it. So right now, Struby is skiable, and the north part of the maze is skiable. The trail lights are on, but they will be off as we do some final electrical connections affiliated with the lodge that we're overseeing. So I guess keep your fingers crossed for snow, because we probably won't do any additional grooming until we have more snow. And projected that's maybe the middle of next week we might get a little bit, but not much. And as for the single track trails, I'd like to invite Austin Burgess from CWTA up to kind of give an end of season update as to what's been done on the single track construction and where we stand to go next year.
Chairman, board, how are you guys doing tonight?
Thanks for coming, Austin.
Oh, you bet. Thanks, Michael Brown, for inviting to this. We've done a lot this season, a lot. I'll start off with the new construction trails we've done. We've been able to complete Fool's Gold, Mine Shaft, which are going to be in the maze area, which are true beginner trails. Very accessible to strider bikes and even potentially adaptive trail use. We've also been able to complete what is Lower Pinball, which is a connector for down at the bottom of Struby Loop, all the way back up to Eadsville, which is about a little over a 0.8 mile trail, and it follows basically the same trail building that we've been doing up there, fairly narrow corridor single track trail. One of our advanced trails we did this year is New Spillway. It's going to be called Spillway. The old Spillway is going to be effectively going away in the future. New Spillway replaced that to be a little bit more of a mountain bike optimized trail, and it over tripled the length of that particular trail, so it's not just a fall line erosion trail anymore. It actually was has actually some features in it for bikes. Hikers are using it a lot too. It's probably one of the most heavily used advanced trails that we have. The old Spillway is actually kind of going away on its own right now. We've also started but not completed the Double Black Trail that we have over there, which is a true mountain bike optimized one direction mountain bike traffic trail. We're awaiting signage to be completed before we actually open that up, and we've been working on some of the advanced riders in town to make sure that everything's dialed in before that trail is actually open for use, which I know there is some concerns on that particular trail, and there's some concerns with us for being able to get that open sooner this year as well. And so I'd like to share with you guys the trail signs that we're looking at putting up. Obviously, we're not going to put something up until we get the Parks Director or the BOCC approval on that. Kind of our big project, kind of started late season, was the McMurray Outer Loop Trail. We're not exactly sure what that's going to be called yet, so we've been calling it the McMurray Outer Loop. We were able to complete about a quarter mile of finished trail on that, and then 4 miles of roughed-in trail. We were actually donated a Mini X this year to be able to get that completed in a fairly timely fashion. That's pretty incredible as far as the mileage that we were able to get done. We have about a little less than a mile left of rough-in. We are going to be continuing some saw work here later November to open up the corridor for hiking, for snowshoeing, and backcountry skiing. A lot of backcountry skiers are loving that trail right now and utilizing it a lot, as well as snowshoers are starting to get back there. But we're going to be marking that one so people don't get lost on a brand new trail back there, which I'll share with you those winter trail signs that we're going to be a lot better updated signs than what we had last year. The big things, and I know Commissioner North is going to love this number. So doing rough tabulations right now, we've been able to in-kind $157,000 to Natrona County for our trail work this year. That includes multiple trees taken out, the mileage of trails we've done, and all our volunteer hours that we were able to pull together this year. One of the other trail projects we're going to be talking about, which maybe Michael Brown will be talking about this later, is the Cottonwood Dinosaur Trail. I won't really get into that one right now, but that is a trail that we're looking at, which is a hiking-only educational trail that we're looking at possibly doing a reconstruction on. So, any questions on the summer trails before I get into the winter stuff that we're doing?
I guess that one area, spillway where we get the rocks. We've had a lot of accidents on so far. I think I sent you that picture. How are we going to monitor that where Dick and Harry just doesn't fly off that thing and think they can handle it?
Yes. So one thing that's not up right now are basically the rules of the area. Really, when you're dealing with any of these extreme hazard areas, they need to be signed. The Outdoor Recreation Safety Act, or the Recreation Safety Act, states that we don't really have to. So I'm actually going to share that with you guys as well. Tyler, will you hand that out to them? But we're doing our due diligence and actually stepping up what we're going to be doing. So one of the things we're going to be doing on that trail, I'll let you.
Austin, on that trail that we're talking about right now, technically that trail's still closed, right?
That trail is still closed, and that actually, so Spillway follows the same path design as Old Spillway, where it's a downhill trail and then goes to an uphill piece back up to Eadsville. This particular trail is actually called Off Camber, which is a double black, and it's signed and has been closed. One problem we've been having a lot this year, and I've been chasing it around, is somebody's been pulling our closed trail signs out. When I heard about that accident, I immediately went up to see if that was possibly a cause of that, of somebody getting in there, and sure enough, that trail sign was tossed in the bushes. And so we immediately put that sign back up. One thing that we did have in place, however, is all the way from the top of Spillway all the way down to the rock area that Jim Miller is talking about. We have, on any one of our drop features that we have built into that area, are signed today. They were signed before that accident happened as well. But as far as the sign that we're looking at, it's going to warn all users of what the inherent risks are, and it's going to basically say, hey, you need to have expert level riding skills to be able to get in that. Now, does that mean that expert level riders are the only ones able to get in that? No. There are multiple choices within that trail lines to allow safe ride-arounds for people to build their skills. And that's the whole point of this trail, is to build skills, because this is a trail that we have never had before on Casper Mountain. We have some pretty gnarly areas up there, but nothing that actually was designated a double black trail. So this is a great skill builder for trail. It's more of like a play area, if you will. And has a really unique trail leading into it. And then when you get to the top, before it drops down into the rocks, we're going to have another one of those signs placed just to remind people again, hey, you probably want to walk this and look it before you just go ahead and bail in and ride it. So, and I personally ride as a trail builder. I personally ride all the features that we're doing, and then we have vested the expert to near pro level rider to get on that as well, to make sure that everything's flowing correctly, that it's not just one person's idea, that it's multiple ideas, and that everything links together correctly, and it creates a safe riding environment. Hopefully that answers the question that you have. Other things, I'll just pass these around too. These are some ideas that we have for trail signage and tools and stuff. We're going to be, I'll be presenting those to the Parks Director as well as the Board of County Commissioners as well, to do more of a modular signage system up there, to be a little bit more welcoming. And then if we have trail rule changes, we can easily change one modular piece of that, and then with multiple trailheads. So the long pictures that, or the long pieces of paper there are the trailhead signage. These are going to be quite a bit larger than what the exemplars are there.
What are they going to be made out of, and how are they going to be affixed to the?
So that's to be determined whether we'll do a like a plastic, like a high density polycarbonate type material, or do aluminum signage with reflective sign material, or do the plastic with reflective sign material. But they will be an outdoor quality, high definition trail sign that can stand the test of time on them, just like the ones that we have up there. But we're looking at doing, as that comes around, you'll see some pretty cool graphics on that. It's the picture of Casper Mountain, just an idea we had on that. Obviously nothing's going to press or anything on it, so just an idea to make it kind of more cohesive with a lot of the other things that are going on up there. And these are going to be like a what they consider a totem style trail sign, or kiosk signs or trailhead signs, to where you can look up and you can see where you're at, what the trails are, then a trail map, and then the trail rules, and then the trail descriptions, and then at the very bottom we'll say the thank you one, since we're the ones building that. So that's what we're looking at as far as our summer use stuff goes. Again, this is in its infancy of trail of signage. However, I would like to see something like this, and I know that a lot of people would like a little bit clearer ideas of what are up there, because currently up there nobody knows on Eadsville whether you're on a blue trail, a green trail, or a black trail, which would be a blue and intermediate, a green being beginner, and black being an expert trail or an advanced level trail. So with this particular sign schemes that we're doing, that will let people know what they're going to be getting into. So, and I think we owe the public that. Questions?
How many signs do you need?
Trailhead signs. So we're looking at doing 3 trailheads. So actually 4 trailheads. We'll have the Nordic Lodge trailhead. We'll have the Skunk Hollow trailhead. We'll have Tower Hill trailhead, and then we'll have the Biathlon trailhead. So there's 4 trailheads. So each one of those trailheads would have that complement that you have in your hand there of signs as well. Then in trail, we would emulate what we have right now. So there's multiple at any of our major junctions or our hubs. We would have a map and trail signs as well. In the trail corridors themselves, very, very little markings, because the trail corridors are very well established. And on that new, especially in that new McMurray loop area, fairly obvious narrow corridor, or very dense street corridor. So there's only one way to go. But anywhere there's questions, we're going to have signage, and then anywhere there's hazards or trail features, if you will. I hate using the word feature, but so there's the natural rocks that we're using. That's still a feature. We're still going to warn people on that sort of stuff if it's something that's not normally ridden in that particular difficulty of trail, because some of the beginner level, or the intermediate level trails have an advanced portion to them, and we want to let people know what they're coming up on as well, so you can kind of blind ride it and still, feel like you're having a fun experience.
So, and maybe Michael, you can chime in on this. Who is liable on any of those accidents up there? Is it the county, or is it Central Wyoming Trails, or how does that work?
I believe in the parks rules and whatnot, it is use at your own risk. So I don't believe the county is liable. Central Wyoming Trail Alliance is constructing these trails under an adopted summer trail master plan. So I don't believe they're liable. We've had we had trail close signs on some of these trails, and obviously there are people that don't seem to want to abide by those and take them out, and we really have no way of finding out who those individuals are, because they would be liable for it because they removed the sign. And maybe I believe I'm speaking correctly, that the county properties use at your own risk. If you're skiing too fast and you run into a tree, that is not the county's liability. If you are in Rotary Park and you decide to climb the falls and get stranded, that is not the county being liable for you making that choice.
The passes state that on there, that you ski at your own risk or whatever. But
There's actually a state statute that protects us.
Yeah, so if everybody could go to that Recreation Safety Act that Tyler handed out, it's State Statute 1-1-121. I highlighted kind of the key points to that. I kind of had an idea that this conversation would go this direction. So inherent risk is any sport or recreational opportunity. It doesn't exclude it's all inclusive. Provider is any person or governmental entity is the provider. Therefore, the Central Wyoming Trails Alliance is a provider. We have an MOU with the county, so we're actually an agent of. And then, of course, county being the governmental entity of that particular property. So they conduct, the management of that particular area. It goes into horse use, because that's obviously where this all came from, was from the guiding, and horse use is where really this Recreation Safety Act came from. And then on 1-1-123, the assumption of risk is that as in subpart A, we have any person who takes part in any sport or recreational opportunity assumes the inherent risks in the sport or recreational opportunity where those risks are not known or unknown, and is legally responsible for any and all damage, injury, or death to himself or other persons or property that results from the inherent risks that sport or recreational opportunity. Subpart B, a provider of any sport or recreational opportunity is not required to eliminate, alter, or control the inherent risks within the particular sport or recreational opportunity. Therefore, the state statute allows no signage to be present, and still everybody's covered. What we are doing is taking that one step and actually informing people, hey, there is a potential risk. So, and that helps protect even more. Just to kind of ease your guys' possibly minds on this, the trail builders are the ones that get attacked on these. We build within a standard, and the spec that is created in either trail plans, the approved trail plans, or build to a trail standard, which is the GQTE, which is the Guideline for a Quality Trail Experience. That's a federal and IMBA, International Mountain Bicycling Association trail standard. That doesn't mean it's just a mountain bike trail standard, but it is an or a multi-use trail standard. We do not deviate from these standards just because it's something cool that we want. And that's the reason why we're doing our adequate signage of our difficulty ratings. And that's where our definitions on our difficulty ratings are really essential to have posted.
I wonder if on those trailheads, a little notation would be you're riding at your own risk.
And in fact, that actually is, I believe, whoever has those, I believe it says right under the trail on the trailhead or at the trail ratings it says use at your own risk, because that I think that's something important to let people know. It's not stated anywhere other than on, I believe, like we were talking about. Let me just look real quick on the trail passes, which obviously summer use doesn't have trail passes. So what it states is know your limits, ski and control at all times. That's really the only thing that's addressed as far as watch what you're doing type deal. So we definitely should have something up there, because the signage up there right now at Skunk Hollow, at the kind of the main trailhead up there, doesn't actually say anything. There's a list of all the rules up there, but there's not a list of hey, watch what you're doing. You are in the outdoors. So I think that's important to do, and that's what we're looking at doing as well.
Okay, just a simple sign, I think this winter would just be you're biking at your own risk. Because the skiing part's covered.
Yeah, and that's actually on the rules up there on the closure sign. That actually is stated up there. If it makes you guys comfortable, we can put one up on our trailhead as well, that where we're kicking off trails at use at your own risk, if that's something that would make you guys feel more comfortable as well for this winter. That's easy to do. Super easy.
I think it's wise to cover.
Yeah, we'll take care of that, and that's actually segues into the
What
winter.
you guys think about, but that's my opinion, is the more we cover ourselves, the better we can relate to the public.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler's got some other winter trail signs. Last year we put out some fairly quick trail signs that they lasted the winter. They could have lasted a second winter. These ones are a little bit more simplified. They're a lot more informative because there's less wordage on them. Basically what we're going to be doing is that we're no longer going to be using our orange fiberglass stakes, because it gets confused with what the skiers use. We have moved to a blue reflective fiberglass stake, and those particular signs are going to get mounted to those stakes. Any of the trails that we are not doing any winter maintenance on, you'll see one that says that it's not a closed trail. People can snowshoe wherever they want, but we're just providing no winter maintenance to that. The snowflake is going to basically be placed probably every 8th mile, so people know that, yep, I'm still on that trail. They can pay attention to that, but you can see those a lot better. That's reflective vinyl that's on those. And then at every ski crossing, at every single place where the single track trail crosses a groomed ski trail on both sides, we will have a yield to skiers. And I think that's important, just to let people know, especially bikes, that if you go riding through there, make sure you're looking, because in the summertime we're not used to looking. In the wintertime we have to look, right? So that's what we're looking at as far as our winter trail signs. And there was another one that said on alternate route. Our winter routes change off of what some of the maps are. That's why it's a winter alternate route, so people know that, hey, this isn't the actual trail. If they're following a map, but that is, hey, this is the trail, and we'll have the liberty move those around where it's necessary with drifts and snow conditions and stuff like that.
Are those reflective?
They are.
They
Yes,
are
yes, sir, they are.
You mentioned earlier that it was no surprise that the sign was down. Were there certain signs that were taken down and others that weren't, or just all of the closed trail?
All of our trail closed signs end up being down. Every week I've had to put them back, every single one of them, because we've had multiple trails closed throughout the summer, and every single day I go up there to build, it's thrown on the ground. So, we're looking at possibly putting trail cams up when we're doing construction in these areas, being that it is
Had theft too, didn't you?
Yeah,
At
oh
one
yeah,
area?
we've had lots of theft up there. There's not only been theft from our organization, we're missing about 40 plus of the fiberglass trail markers. We're also missing, somebody decided to steal one of the nice aluminum trail maps.
Right.
So I have a feeling that kind of coincided with the time frame that the kids were up there causing havoc. That kind of translated in that same time frame, and it was probably one of the easiest grab signs off of a kind of a remote road. And then we've had multiple vandalism instances up on the mountain, and then multiple rogue trail building instances too that we've taken care of. where people have like created these rock jumps, and a tree will fall, they'll immediately put boards down to put jumps over them, when we're dismantling those immediately, because I mean, CWTA has the MOU, and we're the trail builder up there. And like we're talking about liability, that puts the liability back on us, especially if we're the maintenance, if we're maintaining those trails, and we ignore that stuff. So we're policing the area as best we can with a crew of one. So it's been a busy year. Next year is going to be a lot, hopefully a lot better, as far as us being able to be up there and provide more maintenance as well as our trail building efforts.
And Austin is, he communicates with me with these issues of the illegal builds and stuff that he's disassembling, which has been a big help because the Mountain Parks Department is too. So with Austin there, we have a 50% increase in who's looking out for things. But with 2 staff members, we cannot cover, we have 28 miles of ski trails just in the Nordic Trail system. And then I don't know what's over at Biathlon, but if you add, how many miles of single track do we have? 20 plus?
Oh, we're gonna end up having 23 miles of single track when this whole plan is completed. So it's a lot of trail that we got to keep our eyes on and maintain. Going kind of circling back to the trail cam idea, being that it is public space, the state of Wyoming allows any video to be done in public space without anybody's knowledge. But I do need to check with, I'm going to be checking with Michael Brown to check with legal to make sure that we can video in the parks area as well. Or if we need to at least post at the trailheads, you may be on camera. Maybe that alone will help with these issues as well. And I'm not looking to try to get people in trouble, but what I am trying to do is to get some education out there and let people realize that this is an absolute no-no. I mean, because the liability will fall on them. I mean, the gentleman that was injured in a closed trail, and say if somebody was found at fault by pulling that sign down, exactly right. That is negligence. So there's not negligence on our side for building that. We've had it signed. We've had everything. We've done everything that we can do outside of camping up there, and I will not rope close. That's negligence. Rope closing a trail. I will not rope close a trail, because if somebody does not see that sign, it blends in and clotheslines them. That's a negligent act. So that's why we just put the signs up. So if somebody hits one, it just knocks it down. But these are actually pulled and thrown on the ground. They're not knocked down, because every single one is always thrown on the ground. Any other questions?
The only thing I want to say about the summer trails is there's a lot of gratitude from the Parks Department for CWTA, because I don't know when this single track summer trail master plan would have gotten off the ground. I was not able to obtain grant money. I do not have it in my budget, and I do not have staff to do this work or this level of work. My staff is not, they're not experienced trail builders. So I do appreciate everything that's been done this summer.
And we appreciate the support we've gotten from you guys, as well as the Parks Director and the Board of County Commissioners as well, on allowing us to be able to do that and work within our MOU on that. Next year, we're hoping to be able to kick off trail building again around that June 1st time, because that's usually when that snow subsides. We're going to be hitting it hard on getting that McMurray Outer Loop finished, as well as some other very significant trails. Next year is going to be a big year for us, we're hoping. So, barring any major weather setbacks.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing up there. We see it and I hear it, and so it's thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No? Thank you, Austin.
Thanks a lot.
Get your server to go out here. Serpa.
Michael, I think we're left off with the lake.
Yeah, so at the lakes, there's not a lot going on because it's our down season. Staff has been actively working on the Alcova Sewer Lagoon. A few months back, our weir started to fail. which is an issue. So we took this opportunity to basically drain down the lagoon into the second cell, clean out 20, 30 years of sludge, mostly inorganic matter that's settled at the bottom, but there were several feet of it. We've removed that, and we are currently drying that in the second cell to be hauled to the landfill in the spring. And as of today, they've replaced the weir boards, so the weir is operational, and we will start filling the sewer lagoon next week, which will be a slow process. It's a very large pond, but it'll basically balance out and be much more efficient operation of that lagoon. I can, if anybody's interested after this, I can give you details on how a sewer lagoon operates and the different layers and what's entailed, but there is definitely a science to it, and the approach we took was very efficient and worked well. It actually went a lot faster than I thought. I thought we'd still be working on it till Thanksgiving, but we're done with the equipment. It's time to start filling it back up. So, other than that, the construction projects I have pending in various states out there for the trailers, the marina, and the cabins is around 15. So it's manageable. Most of those are getting pretty well aged, but a lot of that has to do with the owner of the lot, or not the permittee of the lot, and waiting on additional information from their contractor from them to complete the process. So that, the only other item I have that I did not put on the agenda because I didn't realize it today, but the draft park rules that we discussed back in March, legal is in review of those right now. So they are starting to get reviewed and processed again. And so the Administrative Parks Board, which is seated by all the county commissioners at this point in time, will be taking that up. But I'm sure they will be looking for any additional recommendations from you guys. But this board and myself have gone through those pretty well. So I think we have a good solid foundation to provide to them for review. But if there's significant changes, I'll try to bring that back to this board.
Yes. And please notify us when the administrative board meets to review those so that we can have at least a representative sit in for comment or just to take in the commissioner's view. or the
Okay, will
administrative
do.
board view.
At this time, there is no scheduled administrative board meeting yet.
Yep.
I have a
Any-
question. I'm sorry. I know earlier this summer when we were talking, you were having a hard time getting the last of the rent. Has everybody paid up, and did you have to go through any collection process?
I have not had to go through a collection process. I have one outstanding lot that I'm having issues with. We reached out, and probably within the next month, I'll probably be referring that to county legal, for that lot. So, but we're down to one, so, we're doing good, actually. I wish it was better, but I can handle one out of 257.
Any other board questions?
Yeah, just a quick question on the Hell's Half Acre. You said you were going to pull permit on that. So is that going to have to be an ADA accessible, or is it going to be above 30 inches? Do you have
That's the plan, yeah, it's, planned to be ADA accessible. So I've, got design for railing,
Okay.
for certain height, or, we may put railing on one side and curb stop. I call it curb stop, but
Yeah.
basically it's a stop on the other side so you can't wheel off of the
Yeah, yeah.
edge. And depending, my recollection of the ground out there, it may only be a foot off the ground at the start, so my ADA ramp's not gonna be real long. But by the time you get to the platform, we could be 4 feet up Or I'd have to build in sections of sloped boardwalk that can only be so long before you're on a flat section for ADA. But yeah, the plan is to make it ADA accessible.
Couple of questions, Michael. I think back in February, March last year, we talked about more signage up on the ski trails and the trailheads to educate the public. Are we any closer to that than we were last February?
Not really, but actually Austin's provided something pretty good right here about where you should be and whatnot. But no, to be honest, my budget is pretty tight, so I did not look at pricing of signs at this time, but
This is just something that's been going on for years. So I think it needs to punch up somehow. Because
Yeah.
there's too many people up there are saying that there's no signage, and how do we know the rules if there's no signage? That's just
so
what I'm
the
saying.
most of the rules are, there's rules mounted at Skunk Hollow. We usually have that board that as you walk to where the old lodge was that had this information. And then we did add signs to those, and we added signs to the Buckrail last year. I can't remember what it looked like, but basically talked about fat tires being at this place, snowshoers this place, and skiers and some of that. They were just laminated paper temporary signs, but I believe those are still up, and if not, I'll get some more up.
Yeah, I think at some point we need to have a little bit better material than just a piece of paper laminated. It's kind of a eyesore. Just get a piece of paper that gets wet and wrinkled, and I don't like the looks of it. The other question I had is there any movement on the shelters up on Bear Trap? This is
No.
Doug's.
There is not. Where I am at with that is they went out to bid. The bid was not accepted because it was too high. It was almost double what I had budgeted for the east shelter alone. So I've been tasked with going back to basically the drawing board. And so I did contact a vendor, same type of shelter as we have at the lakes, just the metal kit shelters. And just for that kit alone to meet snow load and wind load with that size dimension that we had planned was $96,000. That did not include the concrete. So best bet, you could probably get that installed with concrete pad for $160,000, which is exceeded what was budgeted. I do not have a budget this year for the shelters. Basically, the purse strings were tightened quite a bit, so we are living with that. And the other thing is because these are public shelters, we have to meet some ADA requirements. So some of the parking and some of the slopes and some of the access. So I'm not 100% clear if I can do an aggregate floor and not have a concrete floor, which, I don't know what the public's take on that is just having a roof and a gravel pad there to stand on versus concrete. So I've been looking at options, but I haven't come up with a viable one to propose to the commissioners who control the finances, basically, on what's spent, what's not, what's budgeted. Not to throw anybody under the bus, but that's where I'm at. Yeah, so no, I don't have any money to do it, and I don't have any new solid plans as to which direction I should recommend to the county commissioners on this, or to you guys on this to review.
And since the funding is the issue, do we have access to grant writers as the county has leveraged in the past? Because if the county's not going to be able to fund this, and it's been, how many years now has it been since they were torn down?
Since before I started with the county in March of 21.
I was thinking we're nearing 5. And that's really frustrating to a lot of the mountain users. I mean, the first year they were gone, I was being asked, when are the picnic shelters going to be replaced? So if it's not going to be viable to fund it out of our regular annual budget sessions, then we really need to push hard to find grants, whether it's land conservation rec funds, like Cheyenne used those to build their shelters. We need to find some funds and get this done.
I did apply for some grant money through the outdoor rec department for these. I was denied that at Bear Trap. We were able to improve at least the campsites with minimal improvements through the county budget and my staff doing the work. The shelters, the LWCF grant, the issue there is a 50% match. So getting funding for a 50% match is a lot harder than getting funding with in-kind service or 10% out of my budget.
Agreed, but if the bid came back at twice what you had budgeted, 50 masks would have got one. So I understand you're doing everything we can and we have a limited budget. We just need to look at all viable sources to pursue other grants. We've been submitting all the outdoor rec ones and we've had zero luck there. That is totally, I'm not asking you personally to do more grant searches, but we need to reach out to the commissioners on what other resources we've used in the past for grant funding, look at joint powers rec boards or everything we can and anything that this board can do to assist in running those down, we will do. But this is getting to be a drawn out Ponderosa kind of type of issue. And we need to see what we can do to,
So
what options are available.
what
whether there's
information does this,
unspent fund cycle that we can try to get this in. I don't know what the rules govern that, but we need to find some other opportunities to pursue and what this board can do to help to pursue those.
so what information does this board need to help pursue funding for the Parks Department? Do you need design for the shelters? Do you need proposed improvement plans for Hell's Half Acre? Well, Hell's Half Acre's funded. Proposed improvement plans for the other campgrounds. How many fire rings and tables that we still need to replace? What needs to be done at Rotary Park? I mean, what information can I provide you guys to assist me in finding funding?
That would be the second or third step, I believe. The first step is to identify where do we even start. None of us are grant writers. We have no idea of what sources there are. The county has pursued assistance with grant sources in the past. If we have some place to start, then we can try to educate ourselves.
So I have written grants, and last month when we were talking, maybe instead of me running my mouth, well, do you want to share? Sorry.
That's all right. I have written grants in the past also. And it is frustrating. It's very frustrating because with the outdoor rec grants, I think we had a very good proposal put together. And it seems like the county has been kind of shut out on a lot of that stuff, which is very disappointing. Because to date, I think everyone that we have put in, we've gotten shut down on.
We received $100,000 for Hell's Half Acre.
But we didn't do that one. That was
Yeah,
through
that was-
Visit
That was
Cat.
true. That was,
So
I did not
that's
sign.
the reason
the
why I
outdoor
say
rec grants.
everything that we have put together. And I think that's something that I'm willing to talk to Visit Casper and see if they can help us out on some of the stuff as far as putting some of that stuff together. I'm not sure what the answer is, because a lot of the federal grants are so big and there's so many people that are applying for them that it's really tough to get a lot of that stuff.
Competition.
And there's not there's not as many in the state itself. And so there are some things that we need to look at, though, and we need to pursue that and go after it. But I do think that one of the best things we can do is reach out to some of the other groups that we have in this community to help us out on that, because we've been striking out on our own. So it's time to build a team that'll help us out on some of this stuff. And that's something that I really think that we need to do. You know, it's just like Central Wyoming Trail Alliance. You know, the amount of work that they have done up on the mountain and in other places on trail systems, that's made a huge difference. That's stuff that we didn't have the money for, we didn't have the expertise for, and we've known that was something that people wanted for a long time. But you can't just let people go do whatever they want to do without having some type of experience-based design and everything else, and they're providing that. So I think it's great. There's some other options that we can look at too, as far as, I mean, they're doing everything volunteer. There are options that we can look at as far as using volunteers to do some of this too, and providing that. And I think that's something that we're going to have to do a lot more of in the future, because as the cost of everything is going up, materials, labor, the whole bit, the money that the county has is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter because of that. I'm not a fan of that, but it's just reality. And so the more we can have different groups, outside groups, help us out in building things and doing things, then the better off we're going to be. And I think that's something that everybody, you know, every one of the board members can reach out to people that you know and ask. You know, the worst anybody can tell you is, no, we can't do it. But the best thing they can do is tell us, yeah, we're willing to help you, just let us know what you need. And that, if we do that, then I think that's going to help more than anything else as far as getting some of these projects moving forward, as far as different ways we can do it. So hope that answers you guys' questions.
I appreciate it, Dave.
Cordell?
With what you brought up with other groups, if I remember right, down at Ponderosa, the Casper Mountain Snowmobile Association helped build one of the shelters or the bathroom, redo that.
Yeah, the
And
snow
so they're talking
gypsies.
about that.
Yeah,
Have
they're-
they been people like that addressed to get work on a shelter type thing, or have you got to keep them off of that because
Well-
of where we're at?
Well, the snow gypsies just helped out with the roof on the Powderhorn, you know, and they raised the money and did everything else. So there are ways that we can do that. We just have to go through and make sure that it's done according to what the code says. And, you know, there's a few stipulations that we have to work on, but that's something that they helped out on, and that made a difference. You know, I was one of the ones that helped rebuild the outhouse down there at Ponderosa Park, and that was all volunteer. You know, the county actually bought the materials. We went through the building department, we got the permit, and we did everything, you know, the way it was supposed to be done. So there are ways we can do that. We just have to make sure that we do. And there's some of that I would like to explore a little bit more, because with county facilities, because of Wyoming Association of Risk Management, which is basically our insurance company, they dictate what we can and can't do on a lot of stuff. A lot of times you have to have, for the most part, you have to have a contractor of some type that'll sign off on something that'll basically oversee it. They don't necessarily have to do the work. You can still have volunteers do the work, but that contractor says, you know, goes through and makes sure it's done according to code and done right. So there are ways we can work with volunteers and get things done. And I think that's something that's good.
Yes. I was just gonna ask the board, can I have board members to head a quote-unquote Ponderosa Park shelters to start coming up with a ground game to approach, visit Casper for advice on grant authoring or grant targets or partnering to do grant writing, and to explore volunteer opportunities so we can, yeah.
Actually, it's bear trap.
Bear
The
trap,
shelter's
yeah.
not
Ponderosa's already done.
Yes.
We don't need to
Bear
do that
trap.
one again, so.
Okay. Thank you.
But no, I think that would be, that's something that.
That's something we can try to help rather than
Yeah,
just
we
be
get
sitting
community involvement in things. And
contributing to the solution.
like I said, it's just like Central Trail Alliance. They step up to the plate and they're doing a lot of this stuff and they're helping us out. Not just the county, but they're helping the community all the way across the board. And that's the one thing that we need to really stress is that this is not just for the county's benefit. This is for everybody in the county and everybody, all the user groups. And that's what we're doing this for. That's what we really should be focusing on, is how we make this a better place for everybody and not just, small groups here and there. And by doing all this stuff, it helps all the way across the board. So, yeah.
Chairman, the other place that I can provide you guys some information to look for some funding is the archery range. The targets are run down. I have a pretty good estimate provided by Lost Arrow Archers that, that's lower hanging fruit. It's probably a tenth of what the shelters are going to cost. But there's some work there that could be done voluntarily and some improvements there that could probably bring in some national level competitions if we can get some more parking and get that cleaned up a little bit.
And I do think that's a good area for us to try to go back to the outdoor rec and request some funding on some of that too. So,
Would that be something that we think might also qualify for the Joint Powers Rec Board?
I think it would. I think if we,
Because that would be a smaller dollar amount, which would
that's a
probably,
really small dollar amount compared to what they spend. And as long as you catch them far enough out in advance, I think that's something that's good.
okay. Can I have a volunteer to head up looking into the archery range? I will totally assist on any of this, but if we could have somebody, Crystal's gonna own the, looking into the shelters. Can I have somebody volunteer to start organizing for the archery range?
And I want to make sure you guys all know, if you need to get hold of me about anything, I do answer my phone. And if I don't, I'll return it as soon as possible. So if you guys have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to give me a call.
Okay, I'll get with Michael to outline the needs there, and I know both Jim and I have looked at the Joint Power Rec Board grants before, so we'll see what we can target, see if that or if there's another round of funding through the Natrona Collaborative or the Outdoor Rec Board.
I don't know any of those, so if you need assistance and babysitting, I would need, but I can help you with that.
Yeah, I think we're all going to be doing a lot of learning here. But with anything we can do to help out Michael, because Michael's doing an amazing job with his limited resources and budget.
Do you want to meet with Casper, or do you want me to just talk to him first?
On these matters, you can just talk to them first. I talk with Visit Casper on a regular basis. Now, Tyler is in transition. I don't know who the new replacement is, but yeah,
And,
so.
and they've got a meeting next week too. So
Okay,
I'm
so
trying to
why
be
don't
there for
we, say, board touch base over email in, say, 2 weeks, just to shoot it, let everybody know what we've made progress on and what we haven't, just so we can try to keep it glacially moving.
You guys got any other questions for me or anything?
No, thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks.
Any other board questions or comments? Okay. Do I have a motion to close?